You don't have to wear those.
I don't think Mary's gonna go for that.
She put them in.
All right, we're all set. Call the July 28th, 2025 meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Dan Rodriguez. Present. Joe Sanders. Here. Mike Conquest. Here. Rich Day. Here. Chad Jeffers. Here. Laura Sauerman.
Here.
Here, all board members are present. This item of business will be approval of minutes. The minutes were submitted in the pack. Questions? Corrections?
I didn't see anything. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. as presented.
Motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Then call the roll, please.
Dan Rodriguez. Yes. Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
Rich Day.
Yes.
Chad Jeffers.
Yes.
Laura Sauerman.
Yes.
Okay, old business tonight, 25-20, 5M Crown Point LLC petitioner owner requests primary plat for professional office building at 106 East State Road. State your name and address for it.
My name is James Husk with DBG team here on behalf of the 5M Crown Point LLC. It's safe to assume you have the packets in front of you. Okay, thank you. This evening, I'm here presenting a single lot subdivision. Technically, the address is 106 East State Road 8, otherwise known as US 231. This is a single lot subdivision on the north side of the road. This is 2 lots east of the CVS building. What's titled the Standard and Crown Point Phase 1 subdivision encompasses 1.6 acres. With the intent to house a 7,500 square foot office building, associated parking, and a rear yard drive-out and detention facility. Access is provided to the site via the existing driveway cut on the lot to the west. You might otherwise refer to as the road. No additional access points are planned, in keeping with the city's desire to limit these as much as possible, especially in this area. Easement agreements codifying the 2 lots relationship are being drafted right now, and we expect them to be in the city's hand by the end of the week. And obviously, before hopefully a final plat hearing next month. 5M Crown Point LLC does own the lot in question. At this point, the agreement will be codified for ownership transfers in the short term. Site plan that don't know if it's in your packet, but that was developed in conjunction with the plat of subdivision, does provide for sidewalk installation along US 231. And that has already approved right-of-way permit for the minimal utility connection work associated with this development. And we do believe that the development behind this plat is great fit for the area, given it's very low impact, very low traffic. We did receive engineering comments, not things just this morning. We're already addressing engineering staff. By the end of the week, I can confidently assure you that none of those comments substantially affect the plat. And we did complete our advertisements. My apologies. I'll keep clicking to see if I can activate this. So, future petitioners, but I'm happy to answer the question.
Thank you, sir. Josh?
5M Crown Points LLC has requested primary plat approval for a proposed 3-unit, 7,500 square foot professional office building located at 106 East State Road 8 between Broadway and Delaware Street. Petitioner has previously received right-of-way permit from Indiana Department of Transportation with an issue date of November 12, 2024. The proposal meets the minimum parking requirements for a professional office in the city of Crown Point, and it has been reviewed by Public Works, Streets, Utilities, Engineering, and the Fire Department. All notices have been properly sent out by certified mail. The notice has been published in the newspaper, and no letters of remonstration or support have been received. Planning Department recommends approval of petition 2520.
Bring it to the board for any questions or comments?
The access agreement is being drawn now.
Yes.
Okay, so you'll have that, so any motion tonight will be subject to. I guess the curb cut off of 231 has been approved because it's there, so it not hasn't asked to do anything different. Modify it.
No, they have not, given that the access was already there. They were informed of that when we did go to utility for what was a utility permit, but falls under.
They're okay, they were grandfathered in. They
It's
had
more or
no
less,
problem.
yeah, it's there. I can say that when I state that this is a good fit, we're all very well aware of the corridor, for lack of a better term. The 7,500 square foot office building stays under 20 vehicles. I mean, by the IT, stays under 20 vehicles inbound in the morning. I mean, there's going to be a couple inbound, but it's about 25% of it, and under 20 exit. So this whole area is always going to be sensitive, but to commercialize this parcel, this area, this is one of the best uses in that it is low traffic.
Well,
Real quick, just for the record, when we talk about the existing curb cut, it's because it is a existing curb cut that is up to the standards of commercial use, including the office space use. I know in the past, we've had some projects come through and they tried to claim they already have curb cut, but those curb cuts were residential. So just for the record, the existing curb cut is for commercial use, and that's why this was qualified to move forward.
and they didn't have anything else to change.
That's correct.
But
Anybody else?
So we're talking about the existing curb cut for lot 106.
Yeah.
And you intend to use that?
Yes,
Or
so we are,
not the frontage road to the west of?
no, we're coming due to the east of where that curve essentially tries. You should. Yes.
Right. Okay. So you're using the curb cut and opening that. That's on the frontage road. Right. Right now, there's a resident.
There is, which is going.
There's my confusion, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else want any questions or comments? Public hearing, right?
Yes, correct.
I guess at this time, we'll open it up for the public. Anybody in the audience would like to come forward and make a statement about 2520, please state your name and address for the record and state your question or comment. Twice, time, close the public hearing, bring it back to the board. Additional comments, Cheryl?
President, I'll make a motion to approve petition 25-20 subject to review of the real estate agreement providing access to the curb cut. And subject to all steps.
Okay, we have a motion for approval, a second.
I'll second it.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Anyone, call roll.
Deborah Haley.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
Rich Dale.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Laura Sauerman.
yes,
Yes. All right, next order of old business, 25-24, DVP. 4 LLC owner requests a site development for a soccer facility at 1025. Carlton Road.
Good evening, Chief Costigan. Presented more on behalf of Storage LLC. I know, Russ Posen, my director of engineering, has kind of walked through this, this project and the next one, you know. This current, what we're talking about is lot 4 of Troutline subdivision, south side of Troutline Road, about west of Lane Drive. Or lot 4. Any then soccer from the Millennium Park subdivision, south. As Russ has discussed with the DZA, we believe this provides compliance and new minor variances. Create a great buffer. Subdivision to the north across the street. And part of this development, recognizing the importance, especially across the street from where people actually live. Our intent is to have the facades of these buildings, which I hope you have pictures of. To go kind of above and beyond the requirements of what is an otherwise industrial district, dress up the front and try to create a big, attractive, almost kid targeting business to create a buffer from storage units that are back there. That sight line will be these are otherwise low noise. Any rear yard lighting will be constructed due to the height of the buildings. This is the product we intend to bring to lot 4, and you will find hopefully in a few minutes that its sister lot immediately to the east is very, very similar. I believe these architectural renderings can't have been in your packet, but I'm happy to answer any questions whether it's on site or the use or.
Sure. Petitioner is requesting a site development to allow a 12,500 square foot soccer training facility in an I-1 industrial zone. The property is located at 1025 Troutline Road, in Troutline Industrial Park, directly to the southwest corner of Troutline and Millennium Drive. The parcel is bordered by R3 residential to the north and I-1 industrial to the east, south, and west. Approved, the petitioner will be relocating its current facility to the new property. Next Gen Soccer is currently located at 1075 Brooklyn Drive, and due to the success of the business, is looking to upgrade to a new and bigger facility. Due to the desire to remain in Crum Point, the petitioner filed for and received approval for a special use to allow soccer fitness facility in Iowa Industrial, the May 27, 2025 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. They also received the variances for rear and side yard setbacks to allow for additional training area as well as shared access and parking. The plans have been reviewed by engineering, fire, planning, public works, and utilities, and it has received approval from all departments. Planning Department recommends approval of petition 2524.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bring it to the board for any questions or comments?
The draft of the reciprocal easement has been, I looked at it, it looks fine. Looks like we're in good shape still. Yeah, oh, and signs are just the ones on the building.
I don't anticipate there being that's fine.
Yeah, we-
on front of the building.
I didn't,
Yeah.
but I didn't have my microscope up today, so.
No,
Yeah.
we do not have a monument sign in the plan. I will say that the on-building signage in the renderings is representative, but obviously
Oh, yeah.
I just wrote a few things down. I didn't see bike racks on this one, but I think I see it on this one. Kind of same with, I'm assuming that these little bump outs over here are the garbage.
No, the trash enclosures are actually on the sides. If you look at this illustration, barely on the, they're gonna be on the sides. There is bike racks in the site plan, while they're might be a little difficult in renderings, but they are positioned between the buildings on the two sets, one each lot.
And I guess, and Josh, I may need your help on this a little bit too. And this isn't necessarily plan commission stuff, but if I read our ordinance correct, because you buffer a residential area, I mean, I appreciate the facade, but you also have some landscaping, some pretty rough landscaping stuff. They're in a type A buffer zone. I think the way I read it, so just be aware of that.
Yeah, they've gone through the tree board, they've met all the requirements for that.
And I don't want to hijack the meeting, and I'm for this. My daughter had half her college paid for playing 4 years Division II. She coached as a assistant women's soccer coach for about a dozen years at 3 different mid-major Division I schools. This is cool what you guys are doing. But this just brought up the whole thing about sidewalks. And Mayor Metros, former Mayor Metros is here, and he put the sidewalks in from way up north all the way into town. And I do appreciate what you guys at DVG have done and put the sidewalk on the side of your office on Troutwine, and that makes it great. But as far as kids walking there, the only place they have sidewalks is the subdivision right around DVG and up to Center Ross Road. And you can't do anything about it, and I'm not expecting you to, but I think as a board, we need to start looking at sidewalks and have some foresight and stuff like that. Just because you don't think you're gonna have something like this in an industrial area, doesn't mean it may show up and, but no, this is very cool, and I wish you guys the best of luck.
Mike, I would add, we are proposing sidewalks.
Right, but what I'm saying is, you go down in front of Troutwine Estates, there's no sidewalks there. So the kids from up where I live, they got a sidewalk to get across the ditch, but then they've got to cross, and then they're walking in the grass or the street. The kids coming from town, their best shot's probably going over to the sidewalk that Jim put in when he was mayor and come up and down and around. It's not your responsibility, but I wanted to say something because I think as a plan commission, we need to really think about sidewalks.
It's required in the code unless we waive it.
And I put my fair share of 10-foot and less sidewalks in throughout Crown Point that lead to sometimes nowhere, but we're gonna get there as a community. So,
But if you go in that industrial park where they're at, there's no sidewalks.
I just poured the DVG one, and then we're connecting into these two lots will connect into DVG's new sidewalk. And then they've
So
been planned for the crosswalk to go across.
Will you go
to-
west past the outlet for the sidewalk?
It's been planned of how it's crossing there, but they're coming across the front of those two lots. And then
Yeah, we got those 2 lots, but then as you
There's-
go west, and then you got the outlet, the retention.
it crosses where they've designed.
So the intent is it'll cross Troutwine to the sidewalk that's along the north side of the street. And at some point, the city will have to continue that sidewalk to the west, going all the way to Indiana Avenue,
On the outlet.
On the north side,
on the north side of the street.
I'm talking about the south side.
On the
Because of the drainage on the south side, when it went through engineering, the determination was the city was comfortable with it being on the north side to avoid that
Be
outlet
that
right there.
future land to those townhomes.
Yeah.
They would have to do it on their access line.
So, and because those townhomes have already been built, that's something.
Cause I don't own that land on the south side all the way to.
But you own in front of the outlet.
Yeah,
You
but
could
they're
get the
telling-
sidewalk over to the
They're
west
telling
side
me
of the
that they
outlet.
didn't want it with the drainage.
The determination through engineering was they didn't want to disrupt that drainage, so they were fine with the connectivity being on the north side of the road, since the petitioner was going to be putting it in front of the site development and then connecting to the north.
I guess I just don't understand all this engineering's on the south side. For that, north side.
You're worried about the sidewalk, I'm sorry. You're
Because
worried about
that's,
the sidewalk blocking drainage on there?
right, with that detention, with that outlot that's off to the west. So the decision was to keep as much out of that outlot as possible. That since it's development could connect to the north and then we continue sidewalk going west, that just seemed like the path of least resistance.
After that rain we had this past weekend, the water would run over anything, including a sidewalk. That stopped it. But I see what he's saying, I mean, it should eventually continue all the way. I don't think it would block.
So you're gonna take that sidewalk west to Maryville Road?
At some point, we have to just. to finish
And then
connectivity.
there's
On the
nothing
north
On
going,
the north side.
On the north side.
right.
Which is where the residential is.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, then once you get to Indiana Avenue, Maryville Road, whatever you wanna call it there, there's nothing going north or south.
There is no sidewalk on Indiana Avenue.
Yeah, right.
So our connectivity, our thought process is our connectivity would be from this parcel here, and then they make their way north across, what is that, Trout Line Road. It's connectivity into the subdivision, right? So,
So we would put a steep crosswalk with pedestrian crossing and everything, and then it's safe.
Yes.
And Doug, maybe right it just south of the ditch, maybe a crosswalk there. So kids from up in the area where I live could cross. You kind of got, that's where Center Ross Road comes in at, just over the bridge there. I don't know.
That's a subject for another.
Yeah.
Well, to go on your comment about sidewalks have to be waived, I don't know anything we've waived the sidewalk.
Yeah. Not,
We put all the sidewalks in that the city's required.
But if you go to some of the business areas, you don't see sidewalks. And you go on Center Ross Road in front of Troutline Estates, there's no sidewalks
Right.
along there. For about, well, they're short blocks, but probably about 4 blocks. So
That was trout line was put in before my time.
that's wrong. It should be.
Okay, anything else?
21 spaces, I know, that's, they're matching what's
Yeah,
required, but
they
is that
do meet
enough
for
for
that.
this
Yes.
establishment?
Yeah, it's all mostly drop off. They're not keeping parents there. So it's the drop off and then they have to cross share for both of them. So it's been planned and discussed between both of these users I'm working
Yeah.
cohesively with to make this all
You know,
happen.
you go to the sports complex on North Street and practices, that parking lot can get full with parents and.
Yeah, I would also add that with the cross parking, cross access easement, I believe the petition before you next on the agenda, that is the one that's very, very almost exclusively drop off dependent, so that's that use. Yes, they have kids coming in and out, but it's swing in, drop your kid off, go have dinner, come back in an hour and a half, 2 hours. I think that's how the magic happens.
What's the zoning on this property, Jeff?
I-1 industrial.
So what's to prevent this going out of business and somebody putting a big 12-foot high door in there and loading dock and making it industrial?
Absolutely.
So it's a 21 spots. How many spots would you need if it wasn't industrial?
Depending what the use is, a lot of them just go off of square footage and how many employees are going to be on staff at any given point. So it's really difficult to just say offhand. I'd have to know exactly what the use was gonna be.
I don't want to see that happen.
But it also means to move forward with that, a variance would have to be granted. So even if an industrial use were to come in that would require more parking, you guys would see it at the Board of Zoning Appeals first
Or the special,
for the parking.
for the variance, for the parking,
Correct.
depending on what the use is going to be.
Okay.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
So I'm just trying to make sure I got this right. This facility, because everything I've got like in my paperwork shows lot 3 highlighted. This is actually lot 4, correct?
This is lot 4, and I can understand the confusion. It would make a little more sense if you had both pages side by side. It was just, we had to break it up that way for engineering review.
Okay.
Because lots 3 and 4 were essentially designed as one big problem. So yeah, I can understand.
Okay. I just want to make sure I got my bearings right. on this.
You'll see the next lot.
Yes,
In the next slide.
And Mike, on illustration A908, you'll see the bike racks on the east elevation of the building.
Yeah, yes. Okay, any further discussion, comments, questions? Sure, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve petition PC 25-24, subject to all the engineering staff comments
And the reciprocal easement recorded.
and the reciprocal easement recorded.
I'll second it.
Motion to approve in a second.
Cameron Hayden. Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Mike Conklin.
Yes.
Rich Dad. Yes. Chad Jeffers.
Yes.
Laura Solomon.
yes,
Next order of old business, 25-25, EBGT petitioner, Food4 LLC owner, requests a site development for a cheerleading facility at 1055 Troutline Road.
Good evening. James Huss again. This time I'm talking about the same area, exactly the lot due east of what we just discussed. So if I these two things, very, very similar to what I had to say. I'm going to leave this illustration up on screen right now. So as now we are discussing the building on the left side of this illustration. The intended user of this building on lot 3, Ice Cheer Gym. They're looking to open up the Northwest Indiana location, as Russ discussed with the BZA. ICE is very well regarded, multiple location. They have 5 gyms currently across the United States. The closest one to this, the Crown Point, is in Indianapolis. Similarly to the petition that was just before you, we intend on flourishing the front of the building, some of the sides above and beyond the industrial district standards, to again create a buffer between subdivisions to the north. New to say on this is we just kind of touched on a lot of the same points that will apply to this lot. They really are, while they're on 2 lots, they're essentially one development.
Okay, anything additional?
Happy to answer any questions as always.
Petitioner is requesting site development approval to allow an 18,000 square foot cheer gym athletic facility in I-1 industrial zone. Property is located at 1155 Troutline Road, Troutline Industrial Park, directly to the southwest corner of Troutline and Lemming Drive. Parcel is bordered by R3 residential to the north and I-1 industrial to the east, south, and west. If approved, the structure would be an athletic cheer gym facility. Petitioner filed for and received approval for a special use to allow cheer gym fitness facility in I-1 industrial and May 27th, 2025 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. They also received variances for rear and side yard setbacks to allow for the building to approach the rear yard setback as well as shared access and parking. Plans have been reviewed by engineering, fire, planning, public works, and utilities, and has received approval from all departments. Planning Department recommends approval of petition 2525.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the board for any questions, comments?
Good. Good sidewalk, more sidewalk. Want to be 6.
basically a mirror with the other side that we just talked about.
Oh. Hang on, Laura's got her hand up.
Oh,
I'm just wondering, it looks like we're a little short on the parking. Is that true? It says required 22 spaces. We've only got 21.
Required 20, and they proposed 22, and then they have a shared access and parking.
So there will be plenty if we count both properties.
There's plenty even on the one.
Okay, thank you.
Typical easement recorded.
Yeah, and the easement recorded.
Second.
motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call roll.
Dan Rohaley.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
Rich Day.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Laura Sauerman.
Yes.
All right, moving on to new business. 2526, J&J Land Development LLC petitioner, C&L Development owner requests primary plat approval for Lake Venture subdivision, southwest corner of Mississippi and east 109. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hey, Bill Chrysler, address 660 Morningside Drive.
Ben, is there anybody on Zoom? This petition?
Yeah, I keep promoting it, keeps it right.
But you can go ahead and just start speaking on just for the subdivision.
Yeah, we're already engaged in the process of purchasing approximately 8 acres. On south part parcel of from Lambert family. Parcel. It's zone B2, and we're just, what we're trying to do is just subdivide the parcel off into 2 parcels. So ours, 8 acres, and they're separate.
Requesting primary plat approval for re-subdivision of lot 4 in the Lake Venture subdivision. Proposal is to separate lot 4 into 2 lots. Proposed lot 5 would then move forward with plans for a PUD called Destination Point, a food truck park, which was presented to the Plan Commission as a workshop in December of 2024. The re-subdivision would take the 37.2 acre lot 4 and would separate it into lot 4 and lot 5. Lot 4 would be 26.32 acres starting from 109th out along Mississippi Street, with parcel line being just south of the pond. Lot 5 would be 10.88 acres of land on the south section of the pond, along the upcoming bike trail just to the north of the Edgewater subdivision. All notices have been properly sent out by certified mail. The notice has been published in the newspaper. I have to adjust this now. We have received some remonstration and actually quite a bit of support for the project as well. Planning Department recommends approval of petition 2526.
Thank you. Put the letters in.
Again, I'll have to type something up. They were all in person. What we had was a couple people who were very excited about the idea of a potential food truck park within walking distance. And then we had someone come in who felt the space should be used as green space. So they were against it. They would like green space behind them. The other ones were, 2 in particular, were actually very supportive of the idea of any
The person that was against it, they live in,
Edgewater. Correct.
all right. Bring it to the board for questions or comments.
that railroad right away, is that gonna be, that's not a bike trail, is it?
Yeah.
Is that the bike trail? So the bike trail, so we have a subdivision, bike trail, entertainment park, and then to the,
Yes. And don't forget, per your request, when they move forward, a fountain.
yes.
Okay.
It brings me to my question, what rights do you have to that pond?
There will be a property owners association.
Okay.
But we also own, part of the legal description will be, we own, approximately 20 foot into the pond.
Okay, so you'll have some say as to my Dancing Waters pond, not unlike to the Bellagio, but something a little toned down.
Be a little bit nicer.
That
than
will be
Bellagio.
nice, that it won't just be a pond somewhere. And the developers have promised me. Whether they do it or not.
Everybody, make sure you put that in the motion.
The developers have also told me the same thing.
Good. So the way this would be is, the only thing we're doing tonight is creating lot 5 for you out of the expansive lot 4 that was just the big lot. All the certificates are also.
Well, I thought of all the things that's come in for this weird strip of land that's here. I thought yours was the most. We got. Seen duplexes, we've seen a couple things. Anybody else with any comments?
So food trucks, we talked about that last time. I can't believe it was already back in December. But access to this lot for those vehicles comes off of Mississippi. Boat, yeah. Food boats, you know. Take care of Mr. Roy and his problem.
All right, anybody else with a question or comment?
Yeah, just, and again, the homeowner that's concerned, I'm sure that you will be held to a zone A buffer zone 2 for landscaping and so, and you may not even need it except some decorative stuff, you know, depending on how you do this. The other thing is I started looking at some of the FEMA DFIRM and studying about that, and that north end of that pond, northwest end of that pond is in a FEMA DFIRM. Now it says that it's minimum to moderate risk, but what it floods is the exit ramp from 109th, or from I-65 to 109th, and I can't ever remember that happening, but you just might make sure that your association, if it ever did, didn't have some legal issues, you know what I mean? That's.
Sure. I've seen that too.
I think the elevation of the ramp is very well.
We were kids, we'd always go out there. I don't remember it flooding out there.
I mean, I would agree with you, John. I mean, I think of any type of project that we've seen come into that parcel, I think this is the most unique kind of fun, something to do with it rather than just trying to throw in a strip of townhomes or whatever it is that we've always had proposed. The one thing, and Bill, I'm sure that you know this, but even when we were workshopping just the original parcel on this, it's, at least my understanding is that pond is actually a borrow pit when they built
That's correct.
I-65. And so if we're gonna have kids in the hotel and, you know, bike trails around there, we had talked when the initial petitioners came in that the pond's gotta be made right? So we gotta have our safety ledges and all that stuff in it. And they were agreeable to that when they came in the first workshop, so you're requiring part of the shoreline.
Yeah.
So some of that's gonna have to be done.
And to touch upon your point there, back in December when we came in. We were excited then, and during the interim period, we've just become more excited based on doing some research and everything. And we just feel that it's be a real good benefit to the community and us also.
Oh, I got this, Marshall.
Okay. Only business we have is separate the lot into two lots, so. That being said, this has a public hearing, so a public hearing at this time. Anybody in the audience like to come forward, state an opinion or a question about petition 2526, please do so now. Anything on Zoom? There's it. Twice, three times, we're gonna close the public hearing, bring it back to the board. Any additional questions or?
Mr. President, I'd be happy to make a motion to approve petition 25-26, subject to petitioner participating in a fountain in the pond. And all subject to staff comments of engineer.
Okay, motion to approve with a fountain. Second?
Second that.
Second for a fountain. All right. Further discussion? Call roll.
Deborah Bailey.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
Rich Gannon.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Laura Sauerman.
Yes.
Absolutely. Good to know. Okay, next item of new business, 25-27, I-65 Properties LLC, I-65 Beacon Hill Properties LLC, petitioner owner, site development for Dutch Brothers Coffee at 671 East, 109.
Susquehanna TV. We're Dedmore, I-65 Properties LLC and I-65 Properties LLC. Tonight we are requesting site development for what is intends to house a approximately 1,000 square foot Dutch Brothers coffee store. Currently a drive-through operation, a small outdoor seating area. Dutch Brothers Coffee, is a brand that originated in 1982. Franchising out. Primarily they operate out of the western, southern United States. Front Point, Indiana locations. Here's brand itself broke the 1,000 store threshold. Development here's building motif, the highest peak of the building tailors itself to the brand's deep blue color, accented with two different shades of brick and architectural panels. There's illustrations of what the finished product look like. It's otherwise a fairly straightforward development. There will be no indoor customer coming up in a car and parking. It's there to enjoy the outdoor space during fair weather, maybe a little colder than it is outside right now. But we believe bringing this new brand to the city will be a very attractive feature, and then be one step closer to finishing the subdivision, which is obviously undergoing open projects.
Petitioner is requesting site development approval to allow a 1,025 square foot commercial building in a B3 business zone. Property is located at 671 East 109th Place, the Beacon Hills South subdivision, directly to the west of Texas Roadhouse. Parcel is bordered by B3 business to the north, east, and west, with Iowa Industrial to the south. If approved, the structure would be used as a Dutch Brothers Coffee drive-through. Petitioner filed for and received approval for a variance from development standards to allow encroachment of the side yard setback for shared parking and access for a future development to the west. The variance was granted at the June 23rd Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. Plans have been reviewed by engineering, fire, planning, public works, and utilities, and has received approval from all departments. Planning department recommends approval of petition 2527.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the board for any questions or comments.
I have I looked at the reciprocal access agreement, looks in order, looks great. Representation last month that we're not gonna have any backups based on your solid representation to us. I do have to say the trash enclosures should be made standard for some of the trash enclosures we have around town. I'm not gonna say that they're not so hot. And the one that's really impressive is the new building out on Broadway, the on Broadway building. That trash enclosure is sharp as hell. I mean, it's great. And this and that one should probably be codified so that we make that a requirement. It's really sharp. Really makes a difference in the parking lot, the whole area.
You know, like the one at Court Head.
No, sir. I'll drive by.
Take a look at that.
I would.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I have, Mr.
Anybody else with any comments?
I see the bike rack, thank you, and I'm assuming this is sidewalk on down on 109. Right along kind of the start of the curve.
Oh, on 109th Place, yes, it's not
Yeah.
on 109th.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah. No, awesome. Thank you.
One of the things, fire up your microscope to the highest power. There is a monument sign at the northeast corner behind the setback.
I had to do that
So
to
we
find
do.
the bike racks.
Anybody with additional comments or questions?
Just facade wise, so I've been trying to look up different Dutch Brothers, right? It seems like they've got a pretty eclectic array of buildings that they're doing. It doesn't all seem that.
Yeah, when
The
I had
same.
my discussion with the corporate team, I pressed only for the masonry product. I told them, don't even try it, just go immediately to all masonry products, so that's where it went. It could have been more metal all over it, what they wanted, but I said, no, it's never gonna happen. We, on this corridor, we only go masonry.
And is it gonna be kind of that dark gray that I see, that sort of vertical metal that they have with the blue?
Yeah, most of those are, all of that is pretty much either Nietzsche hot product or full brick on that.
It's
So-
just when you look at ours, it looks like it's jet black. And I'm assuming
No,
that's not what
it's
color
like
it's going to be.
the grayish.
Okay,
Yeah, it's, I think if you look another page, there's like some,
there is, we've got.
yeah. See, it's like the charcoal,
Mhm.
which is what we've been putting a lot on. this building.
all I got.
Yeah, so I haven't been to a Dutch Brothers, so I assume that the one window is like a walk-up window on the outside? Is there an ordering window on the outside, under the canopy? Is that what that is?
On the west side of the building, that is the drive-through, so it's double stacking and then transforms into kind of a ditch lane for somebody that may decide to order something and decide to not pick it up. It makes no sense to me, but some people do. You can envision it kind of, picture a McDonald's where you're double stacked until you get to the order board, and then the second you've ordered.
So what's that, is that where the columns are at?
Yes,
Okay, So inside, that's the drive, this is
Yeah.
And then the door that has open is just restrooms, or is there a purpose going into the building?
The staff runs out drinks, it's not just out
Oh.
through a window, they help assist with that. And then there's a couple chairs that you can go and sit down, and
Oh,
you can walk up to that window, maybe order, and then sit down for a couple hours. There's absolutely no indoor seating.
No indoor cafe. nothing
No.
like that.
Yeah, Rich, what would be the east side of the building, there is a window there, but that is strictly to serve, it's not to serve the drive-through, it's to serve anybody when they want to walk.
yeah, okay, that's. Thank you.
Which with the bike trail just to the south will be pretty beneficial.
Yeah, right.
Get better more coffee places. Crown Point's gonna be known for.
Coffee capital of the world.
Well, that's why we have so many medical facilities. in the
Yeah.
city.
I went by that place that used to be in Taco Bell on Main Street on Sunday. My God, places are parked in Joe's parking lot. You gotta take out like a second mortgage and pay for it. So. Anyways. Anything additional?
Make a motion to approve PC 25-27, subject to all comments.
And reciprocal agreement.
And reciprocal agreements.
report.
Motion to approve, second.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. Approval, any further discussion? Hearing none, call roll.
Andrew Haley.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
Rich Day.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Laura Sauer.
Yes,
Ever bring samples in for the plan commission?
Don't worry about it. I gotta build it first.
All right, new business, 25-28. Bell Oskimor, owner, Mary Plot, light industrial building at 11025 Elmwood Park.
Secondary plat for the subdivision lots 7 and 8 of the Crown East Phase. Two lots mentioned. Current business Dynadome retractable structures has outgrown the current facility and needs to expand. Property has received approval for variance from development standards to encroach past the building line to allow additional parking along 110th. Variance was approved at the August 24th, 2015 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. While there are some current violations on the property regarding storage, the violations will be alleviated by the building being able to build an addition. The petitioner has been working diligently with staff to move forward with the re-subdivision to help address the concerns. All notices have been properly sent out by certified mail. The notice has been published in the newspaper, and no letters of remonstration or support have been received. Planning Department recommends approval of petition 2528. On that note, Commission Member O'Haley reached out. He did notice an issue in the legal description. I have reached out to the surveyor to get that adjusted today. We have not received it, so my recommendation is that any approvals are just contingent on that. And the petitioner understands that we can't sign the Mylars until that legal description has been adjusted.
Go ahead, would you like to expand?
And that is just because it shows lot 1, but in the property description, they forgot to put lot 1 being a re-subdivision of lot 7 and 8. Ran out of gas, we put lot 1 in. So that correction needs to be made. Other than that, certificates are all in order. Looks 100% better than last one. So, we're all good. Has engineering done this?
It hasn't gone through site development for the building.
So we doing it that time?
Correct. And that's also when the sidewalk will be installed.
Any other questions or comments for the petitioner?
Always excited to see a Crown Point business doing well and expanding.
Well, needs a motion to keep going, so if I'd like to make one.
I'll make, go ahead.
I just.
I'll make a motion to approve petition 25-28. Subject to making sure that the lot description
Yes,
is,
the property description is correct.
is correct and any staff comments.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, call roll.
Right.
Yes.
Jeff Sanders. Yes. Mike Craftsberg.
Yes.
Rich Kent. Kent Jeffries.
Yes.
Laura Sarman.
Yes,
New business 25-9. North American Homes, of Indiana, LLC petitioner, owner. Request workshop for residential single family, northwest corner of Iowa Street and east 121st. Kind of the workshop is for the petitioner to tell the board, come back with it, and, there's no motion or votes tonight, but, you know all about.
East Gulf Road, Schaumburg, Illinois. Sign 250. Third place. Mr. President and board members, we were in front of you back in April, basically unveiling this vision and discussed at that time the hurdles that we had on the utilities. At that meeting, Mr. Sanders and Ms. Sauerman, I believe you both were absent, so we wanted to basically revisit this at another workshop level prior to actually putting the engineering and funds into the project and moving straight forward with the PUD. If successful this evening, that is our next step. We're going to go ahead and engage with engineering and start the PUD process. A quick recap on a PUD process: you're actually creating the governing documents for that piece of property, which basically governs the development that you have in front of you and also the garbage rejection. So if there's ever a controversial dispute, you could always force the developer to go back and utilize the PUD that was presented to the planning commission. I raise that issue just so everybody's aware that that protects the municipality as far as what will be built out there and what can be built. If for some reason the development were to fail, economic conditions, what have you, anybody that would want to deviate from that ordinance would have to come back in front of you, open that PUD back up and start over. So that is our plan here. We're not seeking variances or doing straight zoning. Our plan would be to come in and do an actual plan with development. So with that, I'm going to show you a couple slides that you've already seen, but again, because of Mr. Sanders and Ms. Sauerman, I wanted to make sure that we take you to the very beginning. I think everybody's very familiar with Lennar, myself, Vice President, with Ricky as our land entitlements manager, and Andre Tommy as our land acquisition manager. Last meeting, we did have Todd Leith, our attorney here, also our landscape architect, Rich Olson, and at that time, we had our engineer, Alan from Mackey Consultants. I'm going to skip through a lot of these slides. I know everybody probably wants to go home. Lennar, just a few of our communities in Northwest Indiana. When I joined Lennar 5 years ago, I think they were doing about 200 homes a year just in the Northwest Indiana market. We were very aggressive. We got that up to 700. Our goal is to get that to 1,000 in the next 2 years by expanding into South Bend and Fort Wayne. Nationwide, Lennar does about 81,000 homes a year, and our division alone out of Schaumburg is projected to do 2,000 this year. The subject property that's in front of you this evening, again, it's just a workshop level, is highlighted in yellow, just to kind of give you It's highlighted in yellow. On the east side of that box is Iowa Street, and on the south side of that box is 121st Avenue. 1/2 mile to the north is 117th Avenue, and kind of over there where it says future wastewater plant to the east is the F school. This is a street view image looking at the southeast corner of the property at the intersection of 124th and Iowa Street, looking northwest. As you can see, it's pretty flat. And this is what the property is built. What we're proposing here is a community of over 430 homes with a density of 2.7. We're proposing 3 product type, and the most familiar or community that kind of mimics this one would be the Aylesworth community that we did about 3 miles east in the town of Winfield. That one also consists of 3 products, has a pool house, walking paths, heavily amenitized, and that's our plan on the Beaker Farm as well. This is the concept of the community. Typically, they do come to fruition. We did have a meeting this morning discussing the product and discussing what would be the main entrance. As we get further into this presentation, we'll discuss the benefits, but the short part of that is the fact that we're willing to bring Mississippi into this community from the north from 113th Avenue. So if this project were to come to fruition, we would, on phase 1, bring Mississippi Street from its current termination point of 113th and run that all the way down to 121st Avenue. And that would be our planned main entrance to the community. Just some examples of what the pool and the pool house look like. And this is the example of the Mississippi Parkway extension. Shown on the right is the one that's a concept plan that's in your comprehensive plan. That was done 20 years ago, and we are looking to bring that to fruition. A little bit, tweaking it just a little bit, as shown on the left in the yellow. So you can see where it currently terminates at the very top of that page, which is east 113th Avenue, and we would bring it down to our southwest corner, and ultimately, when the property to the south is developed, it would finally terminate into US 231 by the hospital. Now, going back to how this community would benefit Crown Point. As you know, the wastewater treatment plant is slated to be opened up in January of 2028, I believe. If we waited and paused the project until then, it would be much more cost effective for us because all the utilities would be at the southeast corner. However, if we're able to do this simultaneously with the wastewater treatment plant, we proposed the idea in April, and we had the support not only from staff level, but also from the consultants at Commonwealth, where we would be willing to temporarily send the effluent to the north lift station in Edgewater, which currently has capacity of over 600 homes in that lift station itself. That's currently being pumped out to the Broadway corridor, which we would have capacity of 392 homes. By the time we would break ground in 2026, and by the time the sewer treatment plant is open in January of 2028, our projected sales would be around 169 homes. We would theoretically never get to that 300 level. Once that wastewater treatment plant is up and running, the sewer that goes to the north to that lift station that I referred to, we would then turn a valve, and that sewer would be pumped back to the new wastewater sewer treatment plant. Not only the Beaker Farm homes that we're building, but also everything that goes into that lift station would then go right to the new wastewater sewer treatment plant, ultimately now relieving and opening up much more capacity on Broadway that does not exist here today, which is the overall intention of the wastewater treatment plant. Along with that, we are willing to loop the water main. So from 113th Avenue, we would bring that 20-inch water main down Mississippi through our community. And once the city of Crown Point brings it from the south to that intersection at Iowa and 121st, now you'll have a looped water main on the east side of Crown Point. Those are the major benefits, along with the tax dollars the community is bringing. I think it's a $176 million project once it's built out, and it's slated, I think, to bring in about $2.5 million a year in tax dollars. These are just a little bit, a couple slides speaking of what I already talked about as far as the benefits of the community. We could go in a product, but before I do that, I want to just talk about the density. When we were here in April, I left with what I thought was a warm and fuzzy feeling from the board. And then after speaking with other staff members, I was wondering, or I heard that maybe some of the members themselves may have changed their mind. Again, we are proposing around 2.7 units per acre, just to kind of give you some examples of other densities in the area. Heather Ridge, which is the one in our community, we just closed out, that's 2.8. Edgewater to the south, to the northwest of us, is 3.8. Hamilton Square is close to 6 units per acre. Walkerton Park, close to 5 units per acre. Campus, the one on Delaware, is over 3 units per acre. And the Willows is at 3.4. Again, we're proposing 2.6. I know 436 homes sounds like a lot, but when you look at our open space and what the amenities are bringing, just the off-sites on this community equate to 4.1 million. The project is not currently penciled financially. We're still figuring that out to offset that 4.1 million, but that's over $10,000 per home just to handle the off-site Mississippi, the water main upsizing, and the sewer. $10,000 per home in these market conditions with 7% interest rates. We are very successful selling our homes because we're buying interest rate down to 4%. Still, I think we continue to do that and intend to continue to do that. Running on an 8%, 9% SG&A or soft cost, now you're down to 5 or 6%. As you can see, anything less, it doesn't really pencil at 436. It definitely is not going to pencil at 200 units per acre. So that's, I'm sorry, yeah, 200 units total, which would be about a density of 1.2 units per acre. So that's the main reason we're in front of you this evening, is to make sure we're all on the same page. I can bring Ricky up to discuss the product, but I first want to make sure that you understand our plan, how we can make these improvements parallel with the future sewer treatment plant, and tremendously with the extension of Mississippi. So with that, I'll open up any questions that you may have, or we can also talk about the product.
Basically, what you're saying, to put your subdivision in there, you're gonna spend an extra $4.1 million to have basically a temporary service, sewer service, and then once the new plant opens, you're gonna shift everything over.
That's right. Obviously, you want to continue building in Crown Point. You guys have yourself, so thank you for that. It's definitely a very sought after community, an A++ location. We all understand the utility constraints throughout the community. I'm not one just to, I fully believe if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. This property came to us, we knew it was very difficult. I'm pleased with how far we've come, the actual concept of utility. Now we have a number associated with it. I think we can make it.
But what you're also saying is with the $4.1 million additional sewer costs, or $10,000 per home, that subdivision at this point is not profitable.
No, what I'm saying is, if what I was hearing after the meeting, if the density is not welcomed here, and we had to reduce it down to 200, we would not be able to work. Right now,
We're the 200.
I was just hearing that from staff after that meeting, that planning commission was thinking that this property should be more of 200. So let's go back and make sure we're on the same page. So we are 436 units. It consists of 3 products. It consists of a higher end product, which we call our Medallion series. And those are currently being built in Winfield in our Aylesburg community. Those go north of 500,000. And we also bring our Horizon series in, which will cover around 400-some thousand. When you get closer to the highway, right along Mississippi Parkway, we're proposing our smaller cottage core product, which is a 30-foot wide product. And those we're really trying to capture 3 targeted buyers, if not 4. And obviously, we have to make sure our runway isn't too long for the sales of that community. That's one of the requirements of the products. So we get in and try to get that community up and running and sold.
So the 55 feet wide are those small, but what's the depth? 55 by 125. So that would be, what's the square footage?
Do you want to come up here and talk about the phone? Yep. The one Mr. O'Haley is referring to, the latter part of this presentation. Yes.
That's the one in Aylesworth, closest to 113.
So Aylesworth has what we call our Endara series, and that is an age-targeted, it's an age-targeted product. And yes, it's similar to that, but this is our big core lineup, and this would still target the age We would still target that active adult, but also that first time homebuyer.
Smaller lot. What's the square footage of the home?
So this is a type of 5-foot home sites. The product ranges from 1455 for a ranch and up to 2170 for a 2-story.
That's on a 51 foot by 125.
Correct.
That's similar to what we have down on south end of Broadway there, Stillwater. Those cottage home or those smaller homes.
They're a little bit
But
wider.
they're 60. I looked at it today.
The home sites are 60. but the
60
home site
by
itself
145.
The home itself, I think, is smaller.
It's a 2,000 square foot home on every. I don't know how wide. it is. So that would be that product. For the 55, and then, or the 51, and then when you move up to the 61, that's just a higher water quality and larger home.
So the next one up would be the Horizon, which is 1866 to 2600. And you can see this long list of communities in North India were within this Horizon product and including it again. And then the average sale price is $429. Straight from our architecture into architecture. Library.
Okay. And then finally, you get to the medallion. 71.
So those range from 2146 for a ranch and up to 3,200 for a 2-story.
Per garage or 3, right? That's the highest depth of that's the largest.
Or kind of liken them to detached townhomes, if that makes sense. You know, still get a little bit of a yard, backyard.
So what Lennar did, when the interest rates went from 3% to 7%, see a lot of nationwide builders are worried that the shareholders will scale back, reduce the number of by interest rate down, a lot of pressure on all this. So find a way to make up that loss revenue. So roughly $50,000 a house costs 4%. That allows us to keep selling. We're still selling 45 to 50 homes in our condition, which is probably one of the best markets in allocation. Texas, a lot more than we are. So they introduced this core product to us, which is more efficient. And basically, the efficiency comes from the Medallion series, the Horizon series. We don't really have that living space above the garage. We have more pump outs. So that's the core product.
That's the one. I'm not sure why this is a A, B, and C elevations, but
So as I mentioned earlier, we are extremely excited and would love to release our engineers and start signing subdivision plans. PUD documents. Typically, as you know, if it was going to be a straight zoning with some potential variances, we would come in and get the zoning and then we get the variances, and then we're protected because it's pretty much ministerial. After that, we're all different. Risk. And I make the analogy: if it's denied, it's $700,000 formats for my truck because requires us to also do the engineering, and then when we're in front of you, you deny it. The engineering is often expensive, so make sure that we're not building something the community do not want, and that we're on the same page, so soften that risk. If you have any questions, as you can see, the concept plan in front of you. The northeast corner is that Horizon product, and that kind of blends down into the center and all the way down to 121st. Everything's kind of like an S. And then the southeast corner is the Medallion. So as you drive past the community on I-1 121st, you can see those larger homes. As you transition closer to the highway, that's where we're blending into the smaller homes. There's no multifamily plan here. There will not.
How closely does this mirror Aylesworth? Is it pretty much the same?
If it wasn't for the core, it would be 100% the same. And
If it
if
wasn't,
it wasn't for the core, and we just did the Andari, it would be 100%. It would be our replacement for Aylesworth. And I'd be willing, if we do our PUD, we might also include that Andari product, because in our meeting today, I'm going to be in front of you in the very near future with another 100 acres south on Delaware Street. And that might be the location. I was going to put Andari down there and make that all age targeted, possibly age restricted. There's a potential that we might put the Andari here and then put the 30-foot floor on that.
Have you, you're talking about Mississippi. Mississippi ends at 113th. It does not go further south. CPPP LLC owns the property in between you and 113th. Are you putting in Mississippi on that property?
Yes, I have a verbal agreement with the entity of that property that they would be willing to donate the land privately to us.
So you would put the street in?
Correct. And we would also put it in the very beginning. Part of the first phase. Okay.
Now, please don't take any of this personal. I've always gotten along with you. Luke and Duke, okay, but you guys kind of hit me over the head when it says therefore is asking for consideration of creating ways for reimbursement of this infrastructure costs through the city. So are you saying that the creative way is to allow you more density, or are you looking for something?
So as of right now, our budgets are coming in. We have the land development budget in. We have the direct costs in the product. When I was here in April, I didn't know if these offsites were going to be 10 million. I didn't know if they were going to be 15 million. The fact that they came at $4 million, that's almost palatable for us with this project. I'm not 100% yet. I was hoping possibly one way we could do it if we need to ask for cost sharing or cooperation. I was going to discuss maybe possible reduction in the building permit. We do that a lot of communities in Illinois. Building permit, we take that money and put it into the offsite infrastructure, and then also we could even possibly prepare a recapture agreement that the city would benefit on, so that you could recoup those dollars that you forgave on the building permit level. But that's something that if that does come to fruition, we would obviously approach the city council with that request. But as of right now, it's looking a lot better than it did back in April. The offsites came in a lot less. It's not that bad. I think we'll be able to.
And again, this, Joe, Chad, Laura may be more attuned into this than myself, but you guys do understand that we're in an era where the Fed and the state has pulled a lot of money away from municipalities.
That's why I'm not saying that they're asking, but I'm very familiar with that.
Okay.
And I'm also familiar with how different ideas that the city is looking at that through a road impact or whatever is one of them. Everybody has to fully understand the situation, and that's why I'm not saying that they're saying.
I appreciate that, because I was going to be a bit of a wise guy and say, well, what city services do you not want that we could, because
recapture agreements for developer are nice, especially in a very fast growing community, because the shelf life is 15 years on the recapture agreement. The developer is most likely going to benefit off that. However, you can't underwrite it because it's pie in the sky. You don't know for sure if it's coming. So it does not benefit financial underwriting of the deal, but it is something nice to have in place. So I don't think we're going to have to ask for that concession or cooperation, but it's just in that letter at the time. That letter.
Well, I'd like to comment that it seems like we're at plan commission, and this is kind of a board of works issue. I mean, we're supposed to make sure the subdivision works, it flows, the density's good. they've got the utilities. We don't talk about how increase, I've never heard that we increase density so that, they can put in sewers to put a
So we're not increasing density to do that. I was just saying what the benefits are with this community. It loops your water main, it brings Mississippi Street that much quicker.
But I think all that's gonna happen eventually anyway.
Possibly.
Property's very sellable out there right now. Stuff's gonna happen. We're talking about lower building fees. I mean, we have a building department that's wanting to raise. They're in the budget needing more money. I mean,
I'm not asking to lower fees.
well, you did it, whatever. We talked about it tonight. I don't know I guess I don't understand what the big rush is. I mean, if the subdivision doesn't make money and it doesn't work number wise, then why don't you just wait? Wait till the sanitary plant's in, wait till Mississippi Street gets in. I mean, we've got a president that's gonna lower the rates, obviously, the rates are. I would say 4 or 5%. So what are we, why are we here right now if you have a subdivision that's not gonna make any money? Because we're not in charge of your profit. We're just in charge of if it works or not.
I didn't say it wasn't gonna make money. I was responding to the comments that I received after subsequently to the last meeting that 400 was too many, that the board was gonna request 200.
Now, I don't know where that 200 number, I never heard 200.
So
Wherever you heard that from, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I never heard 200.
if the sewer treatment plant was up and running and this water main was installed, this 1 mile of offsite 20-inch water main goes away. Mississippi and all this sewer goes away. And all this sewer effluent that is going to Broadway is going to continue to go to Broadway. So yeah, you're right. This could be developed once this developed and up and running. But there's no reason to do any of this. So yeah, I mean, somebody will buy it, eventually develop it 5-6 years down the road.
You don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
You have a
I mean,
developer
moon
that's
might
willing-
fall out of the sky tonight, but we don't know that for sure. I mean, you don't. I don't get why we're discussing how to make new money. That's a discussion I feel like we're having. We build 81,000 homes a year, it seems like these 400. Just kind of, project that we're waiting on to.
On this rush on here showing you the way that I figured out how we get it developed today versus 5 years down the road. And again, if somebody comes after in 2028, the next treatment plant's up and running, this community will be developed, will not have a 20-inch water main connection, we just have it right to the southeast corner. And I don't reason to run the sewer to the north, no reason to run it, if you reverse that headwater to the south. But big picture, there's a lot of benefits.
The benefit, they're gonna make it put the sewer down this, they're gonna make it put Mississippi, yeah, and they're gonna make it put the sewer down. And I think it's gonna loop on its own.
So you think if somebody came here in 2028 and wanted to develop a property that the municipality would require Mississippi to go in a half-mile outside
They're
of
gonna
Mississippi?
require it on the north property.
Develop this property, you're saying that the city would require this developer to run. I'm doing it on the spirit of cooperation, but you're saying the city would require this developer in 2028 to put a half-mile of Mississippi in.
Which developer, what, your property
My
or the
property.
property? Well, the north property's not developed, so we're gonna make it put Mississippi in. When your property comes up, you're gonna keep Mississippi going. You even said yourself when it goes down by the hospital, whoever develops it's gonna have to put the rest of Mississippi.
Yeah, it's that much closer, but I'm saying if this property is not for sale, this property's for sale, this developer comes, you're saying the city's gonna make them put this in?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm
Okay.
saying that the property to the north that you say isn't for sale, everything's for sale. You put it, I mean, I personally know the guy who owns that, and you could buy it tomorrow. So, everything's for sale. I'm just saying, I don't see the benefit that, I know you're trying to sell your product, but I don't see the benefit to the city. I mean, all the stuff you're saying is gonna happen anyway, eventually with the new sewer. I don't see why the city of Crown Point would spend $1, let alone $4.1 million to put your subdivision. We don't, We didn't give Edgewater any water, we didn't get, whatever that subdivision over there, Hamilton Hills, whatever, R9, we made them spend $1 million to fix the road, put in pumps. We don't do it for anybody.
As I indicated, subsequent to that letter, we have received all of our numbers, and I believe project pencils, so we don't need to ask for anything.
You guys would put the. So, I may be out of line here, and it's not for this board, but I am not a big fan of residential developments getting so close to the highway. I know we already have it on the west side. I don't think it's good. Then that corridor due west, they come in and they want to petition for industrial buildings along the highway, which that's what, to me, the interstate is for. We have a subdivision of protesters now that complain that, I'm not a fan. I think the whole corridor, I know it's in the comprehensive plan and that should be, it's time to redo that, but from Iowa to the highway, that whole corridor up and down should, industrial and warehousing. Data center.
We were told, we did our last comprehensive plan, I was right in the middle of it. The first thing that planner said is, why in the world did you give up all of that residential acreage on the west side of the Hamilton Square? Why did you make that residential? You're squandering your largest asset in the community, industrial and commercial. Should never have done that. Never do that again. Always keep those corridors as industrial and commercial. And it's in the comprehensive plan. That's of record today.
We're aware of that, and that was in April before we asked the staff level. We're going to enforce that comprehensive plan for a moderate residential builder. And the message that we received at that time was, we would like to see residential there because all the industrial and stuff. I was saying that's not the case, and yeah, I'm wasting my time.
I wasn't here in Laurel.
I'm just saying that was the discussion during the time.
Yeah, so if you're saying it should be industrial, I appreciate the time.
I disagree. I think we're far enough off. I mean, we have up there 101st in Mississippi now. We got that subdivision complaining about those big warehouses. I still think we got a big enough corridor to put that.
You do, but I mean, it's right next
West of
Francisco.
Francisco.
But you know,
I think your placement's okay. Personally, I think you got enough room there.
the property to the north with those large buildings that have been approved, I mean, that subdivision came around, they have a natural ditch going through there, they have a tree line, they have a natural buffer to the development,
I
you know.
can tell you, like, you buy a house at CI-65, and there's a farm, and they're growing corn between it. You don't think an industrial building's going ahead, and you're smoking.
But
That's all I got.
then they must have been
You
smoking
should-
weed on the west side.
You
'Cause
should have,
those houses- That residential
You got a
goes,
resident.
on the west side, the residential goes right up to the
only way
highway.
you control that is you buy the property and you don't clean it.
Saying that on the west side, the residential goes right up to the highway, so they're
Well, I know.
smoking a lot of weed.
I agree. But we can't tear those big buildings down, but I still think that he's got enough room to put commercial. I don't think this placement is that terrible.
Kind of a gamble too, I mean, you know, in a perfect world, the new treatment plant would be done in 2028. If there are any delays, if there's any kind of, you know, pushback or delays, or it goes up in 2030 or tax.
Sorry. Owns Iowa Street, the county or the city?
Up to the north of Stewart Road. 9/3 of their whole, no, 9/3 of Crown Point responsibility, right? Okay. So, Crown Point.
Crown Point. Wow. Down there.
On the east side?
Because I just didn't know if we've had some of this issue. Yeah, go ahead though.
If I may, so between 113th and 109th. From 113th over to 231 broke up like the county. Did the project maybe 5 years ago, where their local agreement. Iowa.
So would they need permission? Have an interest in an exit on Iowa?
Public road.
That's one thing, and again, this is probably minimal thing, but we're behind family. They've been here forever, you know, and cow farms, you said, well, we're gonna make sure our people, you know, I don't know how you do that, but gotta make sure if this happens, you gotta make sure people know they're living right next to a cow farm. And
Well, I understand the concern. What I was basically saying is that Cedar Lake, right across from the Hawkins cow farm. Smell it. I thought, wow, thinking about his home. That comforts me with that stuff. It says it spreads it all year round. I don't smell it all year round. It spreads it, smell it. But again, if this is something that's not going to get past first base, mainly because the city would like to see industrial go there. Well, think of a different message than we had last time. I understand Mr. Sanders, you weren't here, Laura wasn't here.
Well, the EPA has changed. You can't put cow manure on frozen. We used to spray. Piled up now. Because they say it runs in the creeks, to the grounds for.
Where's the farm?
What?
Where's the farm? In
Right south of
South of it?
Right there, there's, if you look on his map here, it's right here.
Right across the street, Joe, 121st.
I don't think I would kill the project because that's gonna, I mean, that's gonna get developed.
Yeah, it's.
That's some questions. Okay. So at one point in the presentation, not that this is like a huge deal, but we said that it's a 2.78 was our density per acre. And then another point, we said it was 2.67.
Yeah, I saw that typo. If you go here, this is the new one, so it might have been calculated before, but if you take 439, that's the number of units, divided by 164.
The one thing that, listen, I don't know how all of our utilities are lined up and set up, but I thought at one point in that presentation that you guys were talking, originally we said, well, if we do this, then the water main's gonna be looped, but it really won't. It's really gonna deadhead until either that property to the south is developed or the city puts that in, correct?
Correct, but you're getting a 20-inch. So I believe that project's moving forward, right? That's not it, that's when. Water main extension from the south, I think that's already moving forward, isn't it?
I don't know anything about it.
Well, nonetheless, my understanding what was being told by staff and consultants, that this water main's coming up here. And it'll be, side of 65 is a dead end. We're willing to make that connection, so the whole east side. I I-65 is moved.
And
And,
then,
I'm sorry,
oh, go ahead.
and iterate. All the sewage that's going into this existing lift station is being pumped to Broadway. Davis is turned on, turned valve. Now all that effluent is going to the big treatment plant versus Broadway.
And this is some unknowns, which I don't expect you get, like, you guys don't know because we haven't figured it out yet. But I know you were talking about how this is, you know, like in your letter that maybe there was a way that we could adjust things, and now you're thinking your numbers came in lower, and maybe, you know, it's not a deal with permit fees. And that, you know, at build out, you'd expect 2.5 million a year and, you know, extra property tax collection. But the way that I read Senate Bill 1 right now is our levy is frozen. And then you might get a 1% increase in 27 and maybe a 2% increase in 28. So I think our hands are tied as far as, I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that's coming down the pipeline that your hands are gonna be tied at if they're freezing our levy, right? Because it doesn't help you provide services for any growth at that point. That's just something I think we have to look at almost every petition that comes before us, right? Like what level of service it's going to take to provide to that, and are we going to be able to financially do it? One point in the presentation, I know it said that your core 30 was going to be on a 51-foot lot, and I noticed in the packet here it said it's on a 55-foot lot.
Wasn't there from the last.
Reason being early now, subsequently to the last meeting, I think you had asked us to increase it to 55. We want some little density, we went up to 55.
I think I was asking 60, but
Mhm.
That's why we're here. You divided common goals. You're asking for 60.
In the minutes you requested.
which we've done it for, right? That's been kind of standard. This seems like just gonna get narrower and narrower.
For the other concern, I agree with this.
Do you have an actual picture of what your 430s look like, or is it just, you know, the renderings, which I always say the renderings
It's a rendering. We're
never
actually
do
now
them
building it
justice.
For the first time.
Would you have a side by side of what that product looks like compared to what the Andari looks like?
You have web access on this?
You know, the Medallion product looks nice. The Horizon product looks like a beautiful. That like more of the of it. I mean, the renderings always look like renderings. Man, this looks. I gotta be honest. I don't know how to say it with coming off wrong. You know what I mean?
And that's why I was.
And I was curious, like, what does the Andari, like, I hate to go like, yes, switch it, but
It's all ran.
not really knowing what it is.
If you're concerned with the core in this location. we'll reduce the- sorry. Exact same product.
You're saying Andari sold out in 8 months now.
You know, we have 8 months remaining of sales in our community, so what I would like this community to be a replacement for that one. Probably.
Now, when you talk about that product, are those sold, that product alone? we've done very well with that.
Oh, yeah. Good product for us.
The price range is it? Do you know what it looks like? Yeah.
Much better than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, nice ranch cottage. I mean, I think there's a market for that too.
Go back to,
We just put that masonry on them.
The fact that got going, and if they're probably going to swap out the type of product. Are we steering them in the direction of want in the community right here in this area, or we not? Are we looking?
That's the question that.
Voice in my opinion.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm only getting about every third word, so I'm trying to follow the conversation. So forgive me if I say something that's been said or ask a question that's been asked. First of all, I want to refer to Todd. You said 200 houses or half the number, whatever came up. I think that came, and my memory's not perfect, I guarantee you, when we talked about at the first workshop, 80-foot lots. We didn't want any 50-foot lots. I think Chad said kind of minimum 65 was what my memory is, which would have automatically taken the number of lots down, which would have taken the number of houses down. So I think that's where the idea of, 300 or less houses was the impression that I thought we left you with. If not, then something wasn't communicated fully. But I think that may be where the staff came up with thinking 250 houses or something, because I think I said I'd like to see half the number of what you came up with originally. I realize it's a PUD, so we can work with the lot sizes, but it is disturbing to me that even the largest of the lots don't even come to our normal subdivision minimum of 80 feet. I mean, it just shrink, and shoehorning this in is not great, especially without infrastructure to support it. Now, again, if there are any delays with the proposed improvements, even if Lennar is doing their share on their property, this could be pretty bad. And I'm with Mr. Marshall. I don't know that we are the board that decides this kind of utility thing. That's usually, every developer is expected to do their own water, their own sewer, and figure out how to tap in. That's what every developer does. So I appreciate your presentation, but I don't think it makes this particularly special. Every developer has been asked to do all of those things. But I am still concerned with the very small lots and the very small homes. That product is not my favorite. I think Lennar does a much better job than that, and that doesn't do a lot for the reputation of the company. And I say that as an owner of a Lennar home in a different area. So I'm a fan, but not of that particular product. Since this is a workshop, I'm giving you my opinions, but I'm reiterating, I think what we said before, maybe it was just me, I thought it was also Chad, that these lot sizes, way too many of them are way too small. And I get that you want smaller ones closer to the busier road, but you're not bordering I-65. You're just you can kind of see it maybe. So I don't know that there's a huge hardship there. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. And if it's all been said already, I apologize. Again, I've had a very difficult time hearing. I can hear the board pretty well, and I can hear Josh, but everybody else is about every third word. And so I'm sorry.
No, they're above you now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they put them in the
If I
ceiling.
stand up here, okay. Well, thank you for your feedback, and again, yeah, I fully understand the utility. The hard calculations and the hard decision on that is not this board. Mainly in front of you today, now, does the city want to put the here, if so, great. And they provide home sites, but there's a lot of off sites that not work. So I want to make sure I express that. So it's the same, you have to have 80-foot wide lots. You know, that's not the location for those. Getting subsequently to our last meeting has come to fruition. If that's the case, then I think I'll read the message loud and clear.
You know, I'm just sitting here thinking of like Copper Creek. If you could do something like that, I think we'd have a problem. I mean, you know,
The utilities
that
were
was
to the
nice
property
stuff.
line, that would work.
And so it's kind of like you're asking us to give in to what we're really looking for to make it financially feasible for you, and I understand that. And then along with what Chad just said, 28, we still have the same president, the same governor. Is the city going to have money to even do a second sewer plant at that point? You know, I mean, we're in some unknown times right now. You got to consider that too. I don't know, man.
Well, I would just say, like, just to kind of round this out, right? So we don't we're kind of like in a circular firing squad here. To me, if you guys are willing to take these 55-foot lots and make them 60-foot, right? That was a concession, I think you said. I'm going off of what Mr. Rohaley is telling me, that your Andari product is a good looking product. And once again, this is just my own thing, it's that I just don't like the way that Core 30 looks. But if that Andari product is ranch style, looks good, you've said that it's a good seller for you guys. I think I can be okay with this project, but that's just one person. Instead of us going back and forth, just give you my 2 cents. But I would like to see those, which I think you said, you know, you lose 10 lots, whatever. Our density comes down a little bit, not too much to write home about. We have a little different product on it, a little more affordable product, ranch product that's good, like we said, for the, you know, people that can't manage the stairs anymore. You guys are doing the roads and the utilities, which I think is a benefit to the city. I would be okay with that.
Appreciate your honesty, and Laura, yours as well.
Correct. I think with that, with what they're doing and their product, you know, to me, it seems like it works. Now, granted, would we like to have bigger lots, bigger homes? But Todd mentioned that the last time that we talked. That to do that, you're talking at homes that are going to be $750,000 to $1 million in order to make it work. And I really don't know if that's your guys' niche in the marketplace.
It's not our niche, and we all love Copper Creek, we all love White Hawk, we all love Feather Rock. Let's face it, it's such a small buying market.
Right.
And Copper Creek was very successful, but that's because during its entire life, it had 3% mortgage. It would never be successful. Who knows if these rates will ever get back to 3%? I think Lennar is buying them down to 4%. We're going to get it there. If the utilities were at this property line, yeah, I would easily propose larger home sites if that's what the request was. Be somewhere else that had utilities right there at the property line, zero off site, obviously pick that density reduction.
And that goes back to what Mr. Marshall said earlier about the Board of Works issue in terms of, do they feel like the system can handle even your proposed diversion, you know, to the
Commonwealth.
existing.
Commonwealth is the consultant makes that decision or offers their advice. I think 20-some thousand to Commonwealth to study it. Sat right in this room, a very positive meeting. Yes, we like their idea. What they loved about it is the minute that sewer treatment plant is up and running, they're getting 436 homes flowing through it. And
Because Commonwealth, when they were presenting, when we were voting on the rate increases, maxing out capacity, and that's why we need this new.
Well, we are basically at max. I mean, we're not at 100%. But I mean, I think even if this moves forward, that we do have to look at, you know, you can take so much up to the lift station at Edgewater, but from there, you can't take that much more towards Broadway.
392 homes is what they told us.
And so and you know, just in the conversation, you know, supply chain issues, delays, whatever it is, let's say that there's, you know, we get a year backed up on the sanitary system, right, on the sewer treatment plant. We may have to have some language in that if this decides to move forward that says, okay, like it 300 homes or whatever that number is, right, that I don't know what it is, but until that sewer treatment plant is done, we're not issuing any building permits.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just probably, and once again, I'm sure that's gonna be handled at a different board, but it needs to be thought about, right? If we're workshopping, we need to think about all the different scenarios that take place.
Put you back to zero. Then. Permits if you put 4 million into the infrastructure to go north.
That cap number would be
Right.
I putting myself on the other side of the table as a council person or even planning commission member, even staff of public works. I'd say, wow, this you can go in within a year. And once the sewer treatment plant is up and running, we can remove all that effluent that's going to Broadway, open up Broadway for future development that's right there. Broadway operates just fine. It's the heavy rains. It's the I that causes that capacity bottleneck. And then not to mention that the water fire cigarettes, public safety there.
I'm glad you brought that up because just the other day at South Work here, the manholes were getting blown off, the sewer bubbling up 2 and 3 feet after that rain.
Well, I would love to continue moving forward with it, but if you feel more with the comments that were being discussed in-house here and increasing the home site size and getting rid of that 430, do you feel you could support the project, or are you saying it needs to be 80-foot wide lots or nothing?
That is preferable to what I was saying before, if I heard you right. Increasing the smallest lot sizes, did I hear you say that?
5 to 60, but it's a little bit less density. And we get rid of the 30-foot core, R.
Can we get Todd closer to a mic, maybe? Because I am not hearing. I don't know what the best mic is. I'm so sorry.
Hear me over by Josh?
Yes.
So, Chad said he would be willing to support the project if we got rid of the core and increased the 55-foot lots up to 60-foot lots. I was asking if that's the same thing that you have, or if you're telling me that you want to 60-foot wide, and that's all.
Yeah, if the smallest one was 60 feet wide, that is certainly preferable to what we've got. Was there also, did I hear some discussion about some of the different products we had been shown?
Our age targeted what we call the Atari product, which is a slab. The grass would be mowed. So,
I couldn't hear everything, but that sounds better.
thank you, Laura.
Thanks for persevering.
Say it's a yes vote next time.
I only heard every third word.
What do you think,
want to be satisfied with residential here, we need a way to get past this. Commonwealth or whether this, what kind of intended, whether this development and make it before the new treatment plant was built. And might have less of an issue. I'd like to get some solid support from that. They say, yeah, you could, like I'm saying, and maybe I heard it wrong, but when they presented for us to increase the sewer rates, and it was only the first increase in a line of increases to support all those buildings. They made it sound like, hey, we're maxing out here and we need this new project. So in between that time, here we are throwing new subdivisions on it. So I'd like to hear reassurance from whomever it takes to let me know that.
And as, you know, so the letter you have in front of you asking for, insinuating you might be asking for cost sharing. Next step. When I said I did not know the numbers, I wasn't referring to
Appreciate that,
1.1
too.
million. I was referring to the interior. Our land development budget came back a lot better than I had thought. So right now we ran the underwrote the project and it intensely did not need to ask for that money. The other benefit that I failed to mention is you have over $5 million in building permits here. The city's going to get within 3 or 4 years. Additional revenue coming.
And I think the thing with the sewer treatment plant, right, with our discussion with Commonwealth, and oh, you probably remember some of this too. Wasn't it that we were getting close to like 2 million gallons per day was sort of like our wiggle room that we still had? But with the growth factor we've seen, like we would outgrow that in like the next 5 years. And that was the reason that, you know, you need the capacity of the new sewer treatment plant, or basically you're just gonna have to go. We pretty much got to stop doing it. Anything that's been platted already, okay, we can go with it, but then we're done at that point because we can't handle anything extra. And the amount of time it takes to build the new sewer treatment plant out is about the time that we would.
Trying to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, we would wind up capping out. And I mean, I think the secondary part of that is once you build it, right, the way that you keep rates either stable or coming down is you start putting people.
Agreed, right?
Into that treatment
Rate
plant and
design.
opening up capacity in the existing.
I mean, really a win-win at the start of the line. I mean, both know there's risk, but that when I first found out this property was available, I knew there were utilities there, and I knew the sewer treatment plant was a vision. I'm very proud of the idea I came up with, up in North, that take everything south and run it parallel. You know, basically, they turn it on and control this. How many homes are in Edgewater? What else goes there? Study. There's a lot of flow that would be going there.
I appreciate it. You put thought into that. I mean, that's a good idea. I just want to be sure that.
So with what Chad just said, and you said they say they have enough for 300 more houses or whatever. If this gets approved, you guys are locked up building in Crown Point for the next 5 years. Is that correct? We've promised them all the capacity that can go to the sewer plant that we have right now for the next 5 years if all of these get transported up there. I'm with Joe. I think we need to, and John, we need to hear from other people and that's probably engineering and Board of Works and all of that sort of stuff too, Doug, you know, and
Is that what you said, Chad? The sewer treatment plant itself only has capacity for like 400 homes?
I thought that's what you had said.
What's the 392 number you're stating is?
No. Okay, so let me go back. The lift station itself has capacity for 700 more homes roughly. The interceptor line on Broadway can only handle 392 homes.
Okay, so you're gonna take up better than half.
If the stars align, we're only gonna take up 160 temporarily. Once we flip that valve, now we're taking everything that's currently going to that interceptor along on that 113 lift station and opening up even more capacity up front.
Was that where you came in, Chad, and said that we probably have to have some language that says, here's how far you can go?
And once you
That's
get
it.
that point, I don't know
If that plant is
I don't know
delayed
what
and
that
not
phone
going.
number is, but there's people smarter than me to figure that out.
Yeah.
But once we get to that, it's like, okay, we gotta back up.
Yeah.
Not hit that
That
limit.
number is roughly 392, and that's why we paid for that study. We wanted to make sure that we weren't gonna gap out or have to close shop until that plant was out. So, you know, roughly 392 homes, that would get us to 20 to 31, you know, assuming that solution like is coming.
I mean, it's got to, we're well into this project, right? We're in the phases of this project. It's gotta go.
What percentage are we at it and making that happen? What would you say?
What would you say, probably the first 30% of it? With the interceptor starting right now.
The interceptor's gotta go October.
Interceptor.
When's the target for breaking ground for the treatment plant?
How are we affected with the new bill being passed with the treatment plant getting done?
It's based off of, so it shouldn't really affect us. Okay. I mean, it's, you know, it's ratepayers.
But I would say that if you want my opinion of what's going to pass this. I think you're looking at 60, 65, and 75-foot lots. I think you should probably put in there. Motion of something from the board of works that says all this is great, and if we're gonna spend $1 Crown Point money to put this in, it's a no. Anybody else got any additional comments?
I pride myself as being a pro-build guy, you know, but I agree with John because I think we're gonna hurt the community if we don't. And that's our first obligation here, I think. So maybe I'm wrong, but I agree with John.
Okay, well, it's painful, but hopefully you have a feeling of what we're thinking, so.
I think we're gonna continue moving forward with public works and make sure they're on board with the infrastructure.
Because when you're talking about reimbursement and lower building costs and building fees, all that stuff, we're not sure.
That's not that, like I said, that's off the table.
Yeah, you would explain that. And the timing is no good for that now anyway, is
And I damn near almost apologize because you've always been equated with kind of quality development. And I think we're getting away from that here. And maybe I'm not seeing it correctly, but.
Well, I'm ways away from the utilities. It's the reason why we're trying to make it work. Again, you know, there's other properties that go around. I know, you know, you look at other communities that they ran out of capacity and they skipped over. You know, and I hate to see that happen from now. If it ever skipped over, but temporarily it will be. And once the growth goes in the community and the momentum takes off, you know, there's a lot of vacant land in Maryville.
careful for Mike's petition.
I got a 150-acre farm there, I'm gonna say.
Wasn't worth it.
After the meeting.
You want 50-foot lots on?
It's already ours.
I appreciate your time. Thank you. Sure. Thanks, Laura.
All right, next item of business is miscellaneous. Anybody got any miscellaneous business?
Got one item. As I said in our other meetings today, we got contacted by the Shared Ethics Advisory Commission about the meeting we attended May 29th. And of all of the committees that attended, Burns Harbor and Maryville were tied for the most attendance at second place, we came in first with 17 members who actually showed up. So thank you all who were able to attend. I really greatly appreciate it.
Well, appreciate you pushing.
Yeah.
You were very
I got one
instrumental in
item of miscellaneous business.
Yeah.
I think that the sheet that you put on in our packet petitioner, the owner, and the location, and the engineer, and current zone. I think this is fantastic.
I like that a lot too, by the way.
I mean, it talks about variances that have been granted. I mean, it's been very helpful for me, so.
Me too, it helps learn what I have to
I think this is fantastic. Whoever's doing it, we should buy him a donut in the morning. I'd like to see it keep happening.
And a couple of Dutch coffee.
Yeah. Yes. I just want to say that it's an excellent change in the presentation. Anybody else? Any miscellaneous business? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.